First of all, quickly, my name is Gaston Cruz, MVP in Data Platform, Data Analytics Architect for Slalom here in Seattle. Original from Uruguay, South America, came to the States, West Coast, live in Bellevue the last 3 years. All my networks, Gaston Cruz, LinkedIn. You can follow in Twitter, Facebook, and my email if you have further questions after this call. As we may know, this is a lightning call. It's kind of an introduction. I've been there using Power BI since the name was not Power BI before that. All the complements and add-ins for Excel that became then Power BI Desktop and started lifecycle management. Lately, in the last 2 years, we have this opportunity to start working with Synapse Data Warehouse with a bunch of features coming to Synapse. And in this case, in this scenario, what I'm going to talk is a little bit of the integration. Why is something really important to know some tips and tricks on how to handle the combination between those frameworks, between Synapse and Power BI, and how we can get the best from both worlds. So let me go further on this one. This is just kind of a really great picture in terms of different patterns that we can have around Synapse and how we integrate Synapse into different design patterns, different architectures, even if we are talking about real-time ingestion or processing data or how we store data. Behind the scenes in Azure Synapse Analytics, we have in the backend Azure Lake Storage as a native way to land data and to store data and landing data into ADLS, and then using Polybase, we can create external tables coming from ADLS and push that data directly to the serverless SQL pool, dedicated SQL pools, or Apache if we need to come ramping up with Python scripts using libraries, doing machine learning algorithms, and so on. One of the things that I want to discuss today is one of the features that comes to Synapse that they are really great to expose data from Synapse to Power BI. This is one of the features that I always recall, because when we go directly to Power BI and we start, start a new report in Power BI Desktop, starting the lifecycle management of using Power BI and going and connect Power BI. Right now, we have more than 100 connectors in Power BI with a bunch of data sources. Remember that the powerful of Power BI is combined data coming from different sources. One great deal here, and at the enterprise layer that we deal with millions or billions of records right now, everybody is getting data from everywhere. So in this scenario, what I'm going to recall is how, and this is just one option that we have, not the single one, but one option is to create a semantic layer in Synapse. We can call, materialist views. With the creation of materialist view, what we are doing is get some of the best features coming to Synapse that allow us to ramping up with a query from the end users against our Synapse layer. What is going to happen in the materialist views is that, first of all, the first user that hit from the Power BI desktop, from the report layer, this view is going to cache in memory the result of the view. So after the first call, after we're using this view, the next user is going to get the result directly cached from memory. So if you see, there's no huge tip and trick to create the materialist view. It's just a statement of create of materialist views, then a select statement where we are just based on our knowledge, and that is important of this feature, knowing the business. In this case, I know that the business is going to hit or is going to get from the report a group by from state, from the birth country, from the store, and we are summarizing the result of the view. So that is kind of one of great features coming to Synapse. So Power BI is going to hit again the materialist view and get the result from the materialist view. Another topic that I want to bring here, this is pretty new, but back in the old times, a couple of years ago, we come with the concept of aggregations. the concept of aggregations, when you create the data model within Power BI, you can, sorry, any questions?
No.
So from the aggregations, what we can do here is in the data model itself in Power BI, you can define all the tables that we are going to hit from the Power BI desktop and from the data model. And with all the tables that we have in the data model, in this case, for example, we have the date table, the sales table, the customer table. We can start defining what is the storage mode that we are going to select for those tables. We can say, okay, if I hit in, let's say, the sales table, because I have billions of rows in the sales table, I can hit the sales table by data query connection. It's going to go to the data source. In this case, Synapse is going to go and hit the sales table, go back and forth when I need some data from the sales table. But at the same time, if I know what the business needs from us in terms of the report, I can say, okay, I can create another table, the sales aggregation table, that this is the one in this case, the sales aggregation tables with some of the materials view. So in the slide that I showed before, I can create a materials view with the name sales aggregations. That table is going to be in import mode in Power BI, so it's going to cache everything in memory. And in the report, let's say that we have a big table in the report that we want to show that table in the report. That table can get the data from the sales aggregations. If I have different layers to go in the report further, and let's say that I have a drill through or drill down in the report with multiple layers, I can go from level 1 of details to level 2 of details to level 3 of details, more details that I need until we hit, let's say, the ticket information. And in those layers, I can define if that layer is going to hit the table in import, if this is a materials view with not millions of rows, maybe thousands of rows. And then when I go to the third layer or fourth layer with more details, then I can hit in data query. Right now, and this is something that came in the last couple of weeks, the concept of hybrid table. So in the same table, let's say that you have the sales table with billions of rows, I can define what we can say kind of partitions where I can say, okay, the last 2 months, those are the one that I'm going to hit via data query. Everything above the 2 months from now, I'm going to hit in import. So I can cache part of the table in my report in Power BI. So in Synapse, pretty simple. You have the ability to create a link service directly to your Power BI tenant, directly from the Synapse Studio. That is the powerful here. You can, instead of going from Synapse to Power BI using 2 different services, 2 different windows, you can go directly with the Synapse Studio. From the Synapse Studio experience, create a link services in Power BI. From the link services, you can, and this is a window showing directly the Synapse experience with all the options directly from your Synapse Studio. One of the options is going to be to develop directly from the Synapse Studio all the experience of having all the notebooks that you prepare, all the data flows that you prepare, all the SQL script, the script that you prepare, and you can see that the link service allow you to go and extract and see all the data coming from the Power BI tenant. So instead of having the experience of need to create the report from the experience of going to the app.powerbi.com URL, you can go directly to Synapse and start creating the reports from here using the data sets that you bring from the Power BI tenant. Even if you need to create a new Power BI data set, you can do that directly from here with the experience of using Synapse. But that Synapse experience is embedding the Power BI tenant and all the artifacts that you have in your Power BI tenant and start doing those POC and see what is the performance to get and cache the materials view and get the data and the result of those queries directly without leaving the space of the Synapse. As you can see in this case, I am getting all my scripts coming in the top here, all the scripts coming from Apache Spark serverless or the SQL Pool serverless. And directly, this experience is exactly the same experience. The environment is exactly the same environment that I have in the Power BI service. So that being said, the experience of having both frameworks in the same window and that experience for the developer standpoint is great in terms of that you can start testing not just the creation of the queries and the creation of the results from your data source in the Synapse Studio experience. We also can get the link from Power BI, start developing Power BI data sets and Power BI reports directly from the Synapse Studio space. That was really quick for me, but that was an introduction to how, why, and what are the artifacts that I can take advantage from Synapse from the perspective or the point of view of a Power BI developer or an architect. If you want to reach me, follow me on Twitter, Gaston F. Cruz. Send me an email if you have further questions or if you want to understand what are the next steps, what are the path for me if I want to go through and understand more around Synapse or around Power BI for corporations or organizations. Thank you very much, William, for the invite. This is awesome because it's a great experience to have a really quick overview of frameworks in just 10 minutes. I'm happy to be here. And please, if you have any further questions, go ahead and you can look for my profile in Twitter on via email. Thank you.